I've been making videos, or as some like to call it, committing sins, for a lot of years now. I'm not saying I contributed to how alt and gay you all look now. I'm just saying you can't rule it out. Before, after. Ariana, what are you doing here? Before and after. Progress. Hey, what's up, guys? It's Miles. Hello. I have a sunburn that's looking like a tank top. It's your big brother Miles here, answering more of your queer fear questions. I do this every Friday. Some Fridays. Most Fridays. I try my best. All you can ask for. Okay, let's do it. There's a bat in my shirt. He's upside down because they do that. Be sure to ask questions down below because that's where I pull from for the next. Do you know what's happening? How do I convince my mom that I'm really trans and it's not just a phase? My mom thinks the internet is making me think I'm trans. I remember getting pissed. I was so mad. Like in my late teens when I really started connecting the dots, and I was very fiercely myself. I was so angry because I would hear that too. Like, you just think you're this. I hated myself. I fully hated everything because I was losing people that like loved me and like my family because of it. One of the first LGBTQ plus things I ever tweeted was "Don't come out." I wish I never did. Miles McKenna says "Don't come out." I mean, I was like 17, 18 years old and I was self-harming. Wasn't always allowed to go home. Didn't always feel like it was safe to go home. Sleeping at like my friend's grandma's house or like in my car. Being told you're choosing this. I was like, is there a choice? How many times I almost just went back into the closet because I was like, I like literally felt like I was in a tunnel where it's like, do I just keep going? Because I know there's a light there, but it's so far away, and is it just safer just to go back in and just do what you want? I'm like, is there a choice? I feel like I've been choosing to do what you all wanted for the past 18 years. Like, I'm just now not choosing. And I'm just being, you know? Like, oh my God, is there a problem, officer? Like, what? You know what was harder than the first haircut? Like, cutting my hair short for the first time? It was the second. And my hair grows pretty fast. I just, you know, I'm so healthy. And like, you can see in like early pictures and videos of me, like my hair got like pretty long after I cut it short the first time because I was just had so much anxiety over like doing this again. But yeah, so to answer your question, something that I've been asked continuously is if I could come out again, how would I do it different? Which I used to sincerely answer, and now I kind of feel like that question's a slap in the face because it's like, yeah, all the hate I received must have been my fault in the delivery. I could have just reworded that. We would have been fine. It's not your job to be a teacher for your family. It's not your job to teach people whose only job is to love you and protect you. It's not your job to teach them how to do that. Okay, you are their kid. But it is some people's job. We are in the year of our Lord 2022. There are people who have created resources, nonprofits, religious spaces that can be that teacher for your family and offer a safe space for them to learn and grow. I'm gonna rapid fire a bunch for you right now and leave a bunch of links in the description. You can connect your family to LGBTQ plus affirming churches at gaychurch.org. You can send a link. The Trevor Project has a bunch of introductory guides and articles about gender identity and understanding sexuality. As like a parent, family member, friend, ally, all that good stuff. You can send a link. PFLAG is an organization that has in-person groups for family members of LGBTQ plus mom, dad, uncle, grandpa. They can hang out with other parents. Send them a link. Oh, your parents won't go to an in-person group? Gender Spectrum has Zoom. Of the same thing. Meeting other parents and other family members of LGBTQ plus youth. Send them a link. And so yeah, how do you get your parents on board? Give them access to spaces where maybe they don't feel so threatened and stuff. Like maybe mom and dad won't go to Pride, but like they'll go to church. And so there's no world where like I was able to be a teacher as a teenager to my parents, you know? But there's other parents out there that can totally be that person for you. Okay, when you were growing up, who was your gender envy? Like, give me your gender, I want it. When I was like a kid, like a proper child, I didn't have the words to be like, this is gender envy, I am transgender, I will turn into the Trantichrist. But I did know I like this character because I want to be this character is like me. Even when you don't know, like you always just be knowing, you know? It was always like the weird boys. I wanted like the glasses, the braces, the bracelets, the older brother from The Little Vampire, Chester from Fairly Odd Parents, the antagonist from Fanboy and Chum Chum. I don't even remember his name, but just his face, his whole vibe, like that was me. Also, I think this is such a trans thing, I always had nicknames. And I grew up with a lot of kids like not knowing my birth name. I remember the last day of 8th grade, people in my homeroom class were like, wait, what is your name? I'm transgender. How do you get over the anxiety of not knowing what you'll look like after HRT? Hello. I didn't have that. And And I think that's because I had a long amount of chronological time in between the moment I found out being trans is a thing. Because I can look back at my own timeline and think like, oh, I knew I was trans when I was like 5 years old and I kept standing to pee because I saw boys stand and I wanted to be like all my friends and I wanted to be like my relatives and I felt more aligned with them than I did with any girls. And I'd get in trouble from family members like, you can't stand to pee, don't do that, that's so weird. You know? I didn't have the LGBT cultural competency to be able to be like, oh, I'm transgender at 5. But I knew I felt different or I knew it felt wrong and I tried to alleviate that, which I can now name as like undiagnosed gender dysphoria. I just didn't have the words for it. But the moment I actually got the language and it was like, oh, here's this person, they're transgender, I was 11. The age I decided to do something about it for the first time, which was change my name and pronouns, I was 21. That is 10 years. It's 10 years. I mean, so when I was on T, there was no fear. I was just so excited and the changes couldn't come fast enough. But if you didn't know, I'm actually not on testosterone now. I was only on T from February of 2017 to December of 2018. Are you like, girl, we can tell. But just because I didn't have anxiety around it does not mean that you can. If that is the case, getting connected with a gender therapist, but also getting peer support can be super helpful, and just talking to other people that are about to go on T or have gone on T recently, or that share the same fears as you. And a great resource that I know for that is TREVOR SPACE. It's kind of like Discord, kind of like Twitter, but it's run by the TREVOR Project, which is known for their suicide prevention hotline, which means you can post things online and you can make friends without fear of your family seeing it or anyone that's gonna say anything hateful, because it's on the TREVOR Project's thing. You know what I'm talking about. It's only available for LGBTQ plus youth ages 13 to 24, and you can talk openly and honestly for free with other people who totally get it. So trevorspace.org, great resource. I love sharing shit like this because it's like, I did not have this. We had the TREVOR Project, I'm not like a million years old, but at that point in time, it was only the hotline. I remember being like 16 years old, calling and hanging up, calling and hanging up. I just wanted to call and tell one person that I was transgender. I wasn't even 100% sure I was. I just, you know, Nate, it seemed like that's what was happening. And I was afraid if I told anybody else, it would be like, I'm locked in, you know? But I wasn't sure. I just wanted to see how it felt, you know, off the top. And I didn't. I kept hanging up. So, now you could just text them. Have you ever questioned if you were actually trans or if you were just faking? Have you always felt 100% sure and confident that you were trans? A trans experience is so different than like a gay one, because a gay one, it's like you could test it. Like, do I like you? Or not, you know? And with the trans experience, like there's no one way to be trans. And so there's so many decisions that you have to make based on nothing else but how you feel. In the same breath, you're kind of like, is everyone gonna be okay with that? With how I feel? I think there's so much pressure with a trans come out and a trans experience. So not to be like, you're valid, but like, you're valid. Shit's scary. And for me, the way I was able to really judge, like, this route is what's best for me, was by looking at the route I just came from. I don't know what's in the future, but I know everything that happened in the past. And so I can't tell you 100% what's gonna happen next, but I can tell you 100% how I felt here, 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 and here. I don't like my name. I don't know what name I'm gonna have, but I know it can't be this one. Cool. I don't like the way my voice sounds. This needs to be deeper. I don't like, you know, like really just breaking it down. Because I can't predict the future, but I can totally explain my past openly and honestly, which is really hard to do, you know, which is why so many trans people are like, go to therapy. Because for me, you know, the first time I went to go see a gender therapist, I already knew I was trans, I already knew what I wanted to do. It's not like he brought any new information to the table for me in that sense, but it was really great to be in a little room with a big man and be open and honest about how I was feeling, and it not be met with violence or silence. It was validated. That was huge. And that's like the only way that you're gonna figure everything out, is by being honest and real with yourself. Because like that fear that like you're gonna be alone can stay you from having a really fulfilling life that's meant for you. So have I always felt 100% confident? Like, yeah, I've been 100% confident in who I am, but it's also been so scary. Like, yeah, there was times where it's like, is this what's going on? Because I have that fear of abandonment. And I have that fear that I'm not gonna have anybody, because I went through that with coming out the first time with my sexuality. I lost family and I was alone. And so coming out the second time with gender, for me, it was just like, oh my God, I don't wanna do that again. I don't wanna be alone. Being vulnerable felt like the wrong thing. And doing what was right for me felt like the wrong thing. I love how I had 2 commercials before this video, and the first one was like, support the gays, and the one right after was conversion therapy discount. Discount? They got discount? Do they have a promo code? Hey yo, can we get a tattoo update? Yes. I got an American traditional wolf. This is the first traditional tattoo I've gotten. Everything else is just scribbly. I got the Valley, that I think Meg did this, with my little $20 Amazon tattoo gun. My friend Johnny did this little smiley face. I throw a lot of parties. I got a little rabbit stealing a man smoking a cigarette. I'm like a really fun guy. On my leg it says Hellbound. Right below my heavenly. I'm 47 and I've had gender dysphoria since 1970. Because of the pandemic, I realized if I got COVID and died, I would have died never having been happy. I got a binder in early 2020, and I can go out now without a jacket after 30 years of never going out without a jacket. Watching you and Noah and Jamie and other trans content creators have made me feel like I'm not as alone as I thought. I grew up in a time where no one talked about gender dysphoria, not even my psychiatrist. It's so reassuring to know that even though things aren't great in the US or in the UK for trans people right now, things are getting better. I have no comment. Show that to your parents. I remember when I went to go to the courthouse to get my legal name change papers. Like, name changes are very common. People get divorced, people get married. And so I was there waiting with like a bunch of women. And then there was one guy. There was one guy who was a lot older than me. And I was 21 at the time getting my name changed. And he was there getting his name changed. And it was just like this moment that we had of like, whoa, we're both in the same place doing the same thing. But we've seen two completely different worlds. Haven't we? Those are the cues that I'm gonna A today. Again, resources to share with your parents or family members are gonna be down below in the description. Also, I share stuff like that all the time on my Instagram, so go give it a follow. And I love you guys so much. Okay, I'll talk to you later. Bye.